This video is sponsored by Squarespace, your #1 stop to creating a beautiful online space. Hey gang, and welcome to another Animal Crossing video. I'm Crossing Channel. It's been 2 years now since Animal Crossing New Horizons released, and major updates have also officially stopped for the game. This has led a lot of people to wonder when the next Animal Crossing game could actually release, what console it'll be on, and what it could look like. So in this video, we'll be discussing the next entry for Animal Crossing, what that could look like, where we might see it, and more. I think first we have to take a look at Animal Crossing New Horizons and the impact it had. For example, it's the second best-selling game on the Nintendo Switch, and it's actually the best-selling video game of all time in Japan. After such huge success, Nintendo is going to be very eager to replicate this by coming out with more Animal Crossing entries. Now, that might mean we see more spin-offs. For example, we saw Pocket Camp, Happy Home Designer, and Amiibo Festival between the time that we got New Horizons. So it's entirely possible that they may come out with more spin-offs to help boost up the franchise and give it even more content for people to enjoy. But what about the next mainline Animal Crossing game? Now, I think first of all, we have to forget about the date between Animal Crossing New Leaf and New Horizons, which was about 7-8 years, not including spin-offs. Like I said, New Horizons was incredibly successful, much more successful than New Leaf, so I think the gap between then and now will probably be a lot shorter. How much shorter, we don't exactly know, although it has already been 2 years. Of course, Animal Crossing games do take a lot of time to develop, and we do want to polish products, so taking their time is a good thing, but they might not necessarily need to build the next Animal Crossing game from scratch, as they could use New Horizons as a pretty good base, and that's going to be one of the main points that I make in this video. One of the biggest complaints about Animal Crossing New Horizons after all was that it tried to do too much from scratch, and that it didn't really give us a lot of the things that we knew and loved from past games. Some of these were only introduced as recently as the 2.0 update, like the Roost that we had from the very start back in Animal Crossing New Leaf. Therefore, it makes sense to me to use New Horizons as a base for the next game and have all of that missing content in the game from day one, including other things that we still haven't seen and probably will never see for New Horizons. Of course, we don't really know what the next Nintendo console is going to look like, but with so many rumors about a Switch Pro and an upgraded Switch with all kinds of different properties and such, I think that would be a decent place for them to put in the next Animal Crossing game, and if that is the case, then using New Horizons as a base for that would make a lot of sense, rather than trying to do it all from scratch again and having to spend so much time developing a game when they already have a really great formula in New Horizons. With the next Animal Crossing game, Nintendo really doesn't need to reinvent the wheel or do anything crazy like they did with terraforming and such. I think it would just be nice to go back to basics a bit more. Keep all the features that they have already, but just focus on refining the experience, improve villager interactions, add in more items, have more upgrades for stores, and don't take away things that players love. That being said though, I definitely do think they should keep the update model, just do it a little bit differently. Rather than updating the game with content that should have been there since the very start, in the next Animal Crossing game, I think they should focus on updating it like they did with Pocket Camp, like introducing in brand new limited time items and having new special events added for a limited time. That would be a great way to update the game and keep people interested in playing throughout the different months of the year without frustrating players who just want to enjoy content that they had in the past games from the start. Speaking of a new Nintendo console, I also think it makes a lot of sense for the next Animal Crossing game to release early into the life of the next Nintendo console, and I actually genuinely do think this is something Nintendo will prioritize. The first few games that release on a new console can help determine how many people buy it right away, and let's be honest, a ton of people bought a Nintendo Switch because of Animal Crossing New Horizons. Some people still only have that as their one game. It would be very smart of Nintendo to make sure that a new Animal Crossing entry can release at the same time. I don't know about you, but this would definitely get me to buy the console right away. I just love Animal Crossing that much, and I know so many people feel the same way. I've seen it in my comments where a ton of people got a Nintendo Switch. As I said earlier, I definitely don't think we'll be waiting 7 or 8 years for the next main Animal Crossing game. I think that would be a bit silly given how much money New Horizons made them waiting that long, but we still do want to see a game of quality, so if they take their time with it, I don't think that's a bad thing either. I've even seen some comments in the past where people say that New Horizons will be the last game in the series, and that is absolutely not true. There will be much more Animal Crossing New Horizons content in the future. Nintendo isn't stupid. The game sold so many copies. It's such a successful franchise now. They would never make this the last game. So, what kinds of changes and upgrades could we expect to see in the next Animal Crossing game based on what we've seen with Animal Crossing New Horizons? Well, like I said earlier, I don't think they should try and reinvent the wheel or do anything too crazy. In fact, I think they should mainly focus on refining the game and improving what's already there. But that being said, there are definitely some improvements and upgrades that they should make. For example, the online experience definitely needs improving, and seeing some of the mini-games return from Animal Crossing New Leaf that we saw on Tortimer's Island, that would definitely be something that I consider essential. Although now you can play with up to 8 people, you don't really get much of an online experience at all in Animal Crossing New Horizons, which feels like such a shame and a wasted opportunity. Honestly, the online back in Animal Crossing New Leaf was so good, and speaking of mini-games, that's another thing that Animal Crossing, the next game, definitely needs. New Horizons severely lack mini-games and other little activities to enjoy outside of the main things that you do, and I really was disappointed about that. So I'm definitely hoping that in the next entry, they do focus on bringing back some of these beloved mini-games, and especially the online ones to help improve the online experience, which I personally do think is an important part of the Animal Crossing experience. In terms of other changes that I think we'll see, I definitely think we may finally see a free camera in Animal Crossing, which would be insanely cool, allowing us to move the camera around 360 degrees like you can in your home. That would honestly be so cool, and I definitely think that is something they may do in the next game. We may even see some kind of first-person mode in the game that is much more integrated. We did see a kind of first-person mode with the camera in New Horizons once we got the 2.0 update, and I think that was our first kind of look at how Nintendo may want to do some kind of first-person mode in Animal Crossing. I don't think playing the entire game this way would be something a lot of people would like, but it'd be fun if you could switch between modes and maybe have a first-person mode that would feel really interesting and different to play in. Given that we didn't see any in Animal Crossing New Horizons, I also think that it's finally time that we see some new species of villagers to enjoy as well. We got plenty of new species back in New Leaf, but none in New Horizons. These are the kinds of small changes which I do think would help improve the next game, but wouldn't distract from what I think Nintendo's main focus should be, which is refining Animal Crossing New Horizons and having just a much better version of that with all of the content improved. As I said earlier, they should definitely focus on things like villager interactions and make them feel a lot more lively and better written like they were back in past Animal Crossing games. But let me know in the comment section down below, when do you think we'll see the next Animal Crossing entry, and what do you kind of expect it to be like? What are your biggest wishes for the next main Animal Crossing game? I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Now let's have a quick word from our sponsor. Want to create a website but don't know where to begin? Squarespace is here to give you a powerful online platform from which to create your very own. With Squarespace, you can connect with your audience and generate revenue through members-only content, manage your members, send email communications, and even get audience insights, all on one easy-to-use platform. You can even create a community on your Squarespace website with an integrated commenting section that supports threaded comments, replies, and likes too. Now you can extend Squarespace's already powerful e-commerce capabilities with Squarespace extensions. These new third-party tools can help you manage inventory, promote your products, streamline bookkeeping, and ship items across the globe so even Bob can get them. You can also display posts from your social profiles on your website, though maybe I won't be sharing all of my posts. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/crossingchannel to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, be sure to leave a like to support the content. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and turn on channel notifications for more, and don't forget to comment Bob's Gang down below if you made it to the end. I want to give a big thanks to these channel members for their continued support of me and what I do here on this channel. If you want to become a channel member, click the join button down below the video or the link in the description to learn more. You can get a whole bunch of cool perks like exclusive emojis, a badge by your name, access to our members only Discord, and our members only podcast too.